Hello. Hello, workers and friends, and welcome back to Working Class Revolt. I'm your host, Dust James, the Marxist-Leninist truck driver. I'm coming to you live from my humble home in rural North Carolina. As always, I'm joined by my great co-host, union organizer, um, Australian, brother David Fox. How you doing, brother?
Very good. Yourself?
I can't complain with comrades on a beautiful Saturday night. And we have two lovely guests with us. One of our guests couldn't make it via StreamYard, but is joined via my cellular telephone that I have in front of me. Sister Delia, Delia Gray, how are you?
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me. I'm great. Thank you for having me on this beautiful day.
All right. And we also have Comrade Andersen.
How's it going, everybody?
Doing good, man.
Yeah. So I'm here. I'm to be honest. I'm in work right now. I'm in my 1 hour lunch. So I got plenty of time to just discuss the topic of the 10 points of the Black Panther Party, which I'm very humbled to be on it, and I'm thankful that I'm here with you.
Right, Albert. Well, this is your first time on this show. You messaged me on Twitter yesterday about coming on, and I figured this would be a good study to have you on for. Thanks for making it. Maybe if you could, I know you've done some work with Ewoks Unhinged, which is a friend of the show. Maybe if you want to talk a little bit about your background, this is a political show, a little bit about yourself before we get into today's discussion.
Of course. So everyone, if you're watching this is Comrade Andersen. I am a activist, slash Marxist-Leninist slash Chicano in Colorado. Well, originally born in California, I'm here in Colorado to educate the masses in America that socialism is the alternative to capitalism, and from that from the ups and downs of the political environment in America has been spiraled down to people going after through liberals and conservatives to workers who demand an alternative, and that's where American communists and me come in to educate the masses, and that's where I got the idea of deciding to because a while back I began to have my own YouTube channel, and it didn't go well, so I decided when I became more politicalized with the history of socialism, Marxism, and through all the revolutions out the world, I finally realized that this is for my true purpose, and this is for
Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, so yeah, and since then I became realized that I need to do more good, and I decided to build or to rebuild my own channel called Comrade Andersen. So yeah, I'm doing some work, from there and on, and through through all the months I've done through the hard work and reaching out to the masses. I even participate in a union strike in a Starbucks union in East Colfax Avenue, which is it was an honor to work among the workers who were striking against the evil corporate management in Starbucks, and it was so proud to be one of them to strike. And I think every communist in America should join the union strikes, and it's really humble for me as an ally, and I give my whole solidarity to the unions and to American communists. So that's where I came to the conclusion that Comrade Andersen, is to educate and bring the masses that revolution is the true means to transform society.
Right on, brother. That's good. You got some on the ground experience. I've done a little bit of work myself. Brother Fox is on the side of workers every day, all day, every day almost. Let's see. So we're gonna be going over the 10-point program of the Black Panthers, and this is from October 15th, 1966. This was really the formation of the Black Panther Party. Started in Oakland, California. So we're gonna do a round of just initial impressions / background on the piece. This piece, the Black Panther organization, was one of the most advanced revolutionary organizations in the United States. And the reason why they were one of the most advanced is because they represent a historically oppressed community. Afro America, going back into Harry Haywood, the Black Belt South, the Great Migration, discriminations, redlining, going into different cities. They've been super exploited, people with worse conditions. We go back into 1968, was really the high point of labor aristocracy. And the black community didn't have any of the benefits, really, of even the height of the labor aristocracy in this country. So, based on their conditions, they have been one of the most revolutionary communities and really have led the way. And all people have really took leadership from the black community and specifically the Black Panther Party. And I think Huey, some of the notable members are Huey Newton, Bobby Seals, and Fred Hampton. Now, Fred Hampton was assassinated at 21 years old by the police. It's absolutely disgusting. His message was too strong and too powerful. And not only did he work within the black community, he was uniting other communities as well. He formed the original Rainbow Coalition, which included poor white workers, economic refugees from the South, in an organization called the Young Patriots, along with an organization of mostly Puerto Ricans, the Young Lords, in the Chicago area. There was gun battles with the police, and what was so dangerous about the Black Panther organization? What were they demanding? Well, we're about to go over what their demands were. Let's see, Sister Delia, what are some of your when you hear the word Black Panther? What are some images that come to your mind? What is some of your historical knowledge on the group?
Well, the images that come to my mind, we were fighting for equal rights. We were fighting for our freedom, as far as and to stop segregation. I did hear about the young man, Mr. Hammond, I believe that was his name, getting assassinated at 21 years old. It makes me think that could have been my son. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't doing anything except for trying to unite and teach people about the black power and the black movement and everything. And they're fascinating. And it shocks me that they'll let the KKK still exist, but they demolished the Black Panthers. They just completely did away with them, and it's in a short period of time. And so it just upsets me every time I hear about what they were trying to do, because the young man was so powerful in what he said that they were scared of power, because power is knowledge. Anytime you have power, you have knowledge. And he had knowledge because his words were so powerful that they were afraid of what he was going to tell people, so they had to get rid of him. Kind of like the CRT now, they're scared of what we're going to learn, so they're trying to get rid of what we're going to teach or what's going to be taught. So they're trying to get rid of all the teachings of the black people and what they did to us and everything. So yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
Well, thank you. Let's see. I got a comment here from the audience. Shout out to Aziel Jones saying that I guess is almost inaudible. I put her a little closer. Can people hear her a little bit better? I don't know how many people are watching.
Maybe I need to talk a little bit louder. I was just in the hospital, but maybe I can talk a little bit louder now.
All right.
Maybe that's
okay. If anybody can hear or not hear her, please put that in the comments. We're going to continue. Let's see, Comrade Andersen. Maybe what is some of your knowledge on the Black Panther Party?
Thank you for asking me a question. So, from my discovery, through the Black Panther Party, when I look at the history of the organizations and from the black community and through the history of like national liberation movements here in America, I think that the Black Panther Party was not like only created like the only like black communist party, but like the first ever party to like acknowledge that every black community like in America like needs to realize that they need to defend themselves from injustice and inequality. And what Bobby Seale and Huey, they created the Black Panther Party like in California. What they done was like never like done before, and that caught my attention to like it even caught the attention to like to everybody, like in those days, and like to right now they're like the most recognizable group like ever in history to like form the first ever like self defense black party and like for everyone to participate in. But not only to that, they like contribute themselves to like communism, to socialism, and they have studied the ideas of Mao Zedong, which like nobody has like ever done. And the Black Panther Party shows that they are like the most capable group to like ever like launch the first ever. I would I wouldn't say they're not like Maoist per se. I would say they're like the first ever Black Communist Party to like ever achieve the goal to reach the Black masses in America, which is like unbelievable. It was like the most powerful thing that they have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
See, Comrade Fox, any background on the piece?
Well, it's an interesting piece because when this came out in the late 60s, we also had the rise of the land rights movement with the First Nations people here, the first people in Australia. And obviously, what happens, they actually studied this themselves, and I think they were a lot in touch with the Black Panther Party in the US. And they actually adopted this program themselves. And throughout that time, in the 60s and 70s, just keep in mind, it was in 1967 that the first people here were recognised as citizens in Australia in a national referendum. And they were subject to, and still to this day, a lot of discrimination, racism, etc. So when they adopted this was a little bit more concrete program of demands, land, housing, etc. For example, the Aboriginal housing in Redfern in Sydney is an example of that struggle. And obviously programs to put in place to benefit Indigenous people. So, First Nations people. So, that's where this connection is to we're getting a echo there. Is that better? Yeah, I was receiving an echo. Where was my train of thought? But I mean, this was this was actually an inspiration and gave them a platform to work from. They obviously studied this and adopted to their prevailing conditions at the time and a way forward for them. Reading through it, I mean, it's a really straightforward document. It's and I like that, and that's what I like. I think it doesn't have to be really wordy and long-winded. It's just straight to the point. This is what we want. We want full employment for our people, and a quick explanation why. It's as simple as that. And I think that's the key to it: is keeping it to the point, and that's easily understood as well by the general people.
Well, so we'll get right into reading the document itself. Comrade Andersen doesn't have the document in front of him.
Yeah, I really don't know how to do that, you know, to be honest.
Right, so we're gonna read it. Sister Delia, if you got it in front of you, could you read us the first point of the program?
Okay, can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me
Yes,
okay?
we hear you.
Okay. Okay, number one, the 10-point program. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our community. We believe that Black people will not be free until we are able to determine our destiny. Number two, we want full empowerment for our people. We believe that the federal government is responsible and obligated to give every man employment or a guaranteed income. We believe that if the white American businessman would not give full employment, then the means of production should be taken from the businessman and placed in the community so that the people of the community can organize and employ all of its people and give a high standard of living. Number three, we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our black community. We believe that this racist government has robbed us, and now we're demanding the overdue debt of 40 acres and 2 mules. 40 acres and 2 mules was promised 100 years ago as restitution for slave labor and mass murder of black people. We will accept the payment in currency, which will be distributed by our many communities. The Germans are now aiding the Jews in Israel for the genocide of the Jewish people. The Germans murdered 6 million Jews. The American racist has taken part in the slaughter of over 50 million black people. Therefore, we feel that this is a modest demand that we make. Number four, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. We believe that if white landlords would not give decent housing to our black community, then the housing and the land should be made into cooperatives so that our community with government aid can build and make decent housing for its people. Number five, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. We believe in an educational system that would give to our people a knowledge of self. If a man does not have knowledge of himself and his position in society and in the world, then he has little chance to relate to anything else. Number six, we want all black men to be exempt from the military service. We believe that black people should not be forced to fight in the military services to defend a racist government that does not protect us. We would not fight and kill other people of color in the world who, like black people, are being victimized by the white racist government of America. We will protect ourselves from the force and violence of the racist police and the racist military by whatever means necessary. Number seven, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. We believe we can end police brutality in our black community by organizing black self-defense groups that are dedicated to defending our black community from racist police oppression and brutality. The Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States gives a right to bear arms. We therefore believe that all black American people should arm themselves for self-defense. Number eight, we want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. We believe that all black people should be released from the many jails and prisons because they have not received a fair and impartial trial. Number nine, we want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group or people from their black communities, as defined by the Constitution of the United States. We believe the court should follow the United States Constitution so that black people will receive fair trials. The 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution gives a man a right to be tried by his peer group. A peer is a person from a similar economic, social, religious, geographical, environmental, historical, and racial background. To do this, the court will be forced to select a jury from the black community from which the black defendant came. We have been and are being tried by all white juries that have no understanding of the average reasoning man of the black community. Number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inability, and I can't say that word, inalienable rights.
Correct.
That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to ensure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, okay, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience have shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the form to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, persuading inability to the same project, advances a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. That's it, written October the 15th, 1966. Source: War Against the Panthers by Huey P. Newton in 1980.
Thank you, Sister Delia. Delia, very powerful stuff.
Yes.
What is your initial reaction to it after reading it?
Man, I really don't know how to explain this, but it makes me, when I have to read that what we're asking for, it's not unconstitutional. It's not nothing that no one else has. We just want equal rights. We want what everybody else is getting. You know, and it just makes me angry that we're still having to ask for the same stuff today in 2022. You know, and this was back in 1966, and nothing has changed since and before that, nothing has changed. So this just angers me. It just adds fuel to the fire to show that we're still fighting for the same stuff we're fighting for 40 and 50 and 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So it makes me angry to read something like this.
Very powerful. Thank you. See, my initial reaction after reading this again, they used a lot of references to the U.S. Constitution. Honestly, the black community had far more reasons for declaring independence from the United States of America than the colonists did back in the 1700s. To be honest with you, that part of it is very straightforward. I really love the material demands are what we as socialists and communists really emphasize, because we get our understanding not from what the politicians say, not from their promises, not from what their stated claims are, but we look at the actual conditions that the people live through, and we work for an actual improvement in those conditions. And we put forth programs, we put forth demands when we build community organizations and community power along those demands. And in these demands, I really like the last one: land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. This is very similar to the Soviet Revolution, which was based on peace, land, and bread. The Soviet Revolution, they were just fought an imperialist war, World War I. The people were devastated, and the Soviets, part of the promise of the revolution was to get out of that war. I like how that overlaps here in the black community with police brutality. Basically, the police, mostly white police force in black neighborhoods, was essentially an occupying army, and still is to this day in many communities. Let's see, Comrade Fox, what's your initial response to the piece?
I'm actually it's a brilliant piece. I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's the key list of demands like this. It's very similar to what we were talking about demands before. So, Dustin, you might just want to put yourself on mute. That's better. I was just going to say, a lot of these demands are similar to the demands that we would actually put forth as well. And you're right, you're spot on right about land, peace, and bread, and very similar demands as well. But obviously these came out of the demands of the movement in the US at the time, and pertaining out of their material conditions. Well, obviously, when we look at something like this, I mean, without trying to preach to the converted, but this is a good example we can learn from, and then adopt our own plans for our way forward in our respective countries, and which the material conditions will have to determine. It is an impressive document, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's obviously maybe a few little minor details if it was brought up to date, but obviously a lot of stuff in here is still quite concrete, solid stuff. It's still quite relative for today.
All right, Comrade Andersen, what is your initial response to the piece?
Oh man, when I first saw this 10-point program, through all the demands to the Black Panther Party just assembled through this program, it's none other than I've ever seen before. I know that what David Fox said was that they demand land, bread, housing, education, like you said, for the Soviet Revolution, but it's not just from the Soviet Revolution, it's from the Mexican Revolution, which clearly is resemblance to what the Black Panther Party is trying to establish, to have a conditions that are good for the black community. And from that, not only do they want all it, but they want a government for the black communities, and it was really powerful for what they create a program not ever before. Through this program, so many others copied the program, which is, to me, I think that program is still relevant today, because right now a lot of communities in America demanded all those things, because from those communities, through Black, Latino, Asian, and poor white communities, they demand all those things, because we're living an era of pandemic conditions that worsen, and through this program, I think it might be relevant if the people of this country, including to right now, the new young the Young Black Panther Party right now is the successor to the Black Panther Party right now, and is living to the 10-point program as we speak. And through that, I think a lot of the people right now should look up to this 10-point program, and realize that this 10-point program is the key step forward to like building community unity to all across America and every black community. And to me, I think we should like follow this 10-point program. And there's no doubt that this right here shows that this 10-point program is like the future, and the Black Panther Party actually built it like no other before.
Very powerful. So we went around we all did our initial responses to the piece. We can get a little bit more into detail. This isn't a long piece. Sister Delia, are you still with us? Let me check my phone. Are you still with us? Doesn't look like she's still with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm in a bad area. I am so sorry.
That's fine. Was there any part of the piece in particularly that struck you, or do you have any questions for us about it?
All of it struck me. Y'all got to understand, when you live this daily, when this happens daily and you're asking for this daily, it all strikes you the same. There is nothing different about this. It all strikes you. It hits you hard. Because I struggle with this every day. Being a black female, I struggle with this. I struggle with asking. We all, the black people, struggle with asking for equal rights daily. When we're out here on the front lines protesting, just trying to get right, that strikes us daily. So there's no one part that sticks out. It all is the same. It's all equal to me. Because this is what I have to suffer with, and this is what I have to live with every single day of my life, asking for equality.
Very, very powerful testimony. Part of what sticks out to me, like I said earlier, is there's a lot of constitutional jargon. There's a lot of stuff that's appealing to basically the American political system. I mean, the Black Panthers, they're college educated, very bright young men. They're very courageous and fearless to be able to confront the police with weapons in the late 60s, early 70s, confronting the police in uniform, in weapons. You look at how many black people get shot down today. The courage it took, after seeing so many people shot, so many people in their community took down, and the courage it took them to put on uniforms, stand in formation, stand up to the police. It's absolutely beautiful, and there was brains behind it too. There was organization, there was legal scholarship behind it, and there was an appeal. They were communists, and they were openly communist, and they were friendly with North Korea, and they were friendly with China. And you don't hear that even in the movies. A lot of they're starting to make movies now. You don't see that part in the movies. You don't see that in the PBS rebroadcast. There's a lot of whitewashing when it comes into how radical they are. But at the same time, in their 10-point demands, you don't hear anything about communism. You hear repeats of the U.S. political system. And this was really early on. This was the forming document. I think they further advanced their politics through the struggle. But at the same time, there's something to be said about the most radical amongst us can't just speak over the heads of the workers. We have to be in the political language, talk in the political language where workers are at, to be able to push them forward to organize and stand up for themselves. Let's see, Sister Delia, any response to that thought?
Not really, because I agree with you. You are accurate. But it seems like a fight. Whoa! It seems I'm trying to drive. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. I'm following my sister-in-law to the the ambulance to the hospital. They had to take her to the hospital. So she was in a little ER, and now she's going to the big hospital. Anyway, it seems like our fight was mainly with the government, and it seems like the government didn't. I don't know how to explain it, but the government didn't want us to tell the truth about what was going on with us. So instead of them, saying let them speak, let them be heard, they decided to take us out. And this is how, and I don't want to get off the subject too much, and this is how the drug thing started, because they said, well, if we can't take them out, we'll put drugs in their community and guns in their community, and we'll let them take themselves out. We'll let them kill themselves. And so this is how all this has started. There's been a vendetta against black people for ages. And for what reason, I don't know. I don't know what the vendetta is. But this is what he was talking about. All of this stuff, and it's against only one race of people, and that's the black people. So everything you said, Gus, is accurate and true. So, yeah, half of it I didn't get to hear because I guess I was in a dead area, but what I did hear is accurate. And like I said, I live this. I live this every single day. You know, I still feel like we should have our 40 acres and a mule. And the reason they don't want us to is because they know we'll do something with it. So that's my part on that. But yeah, we live this every day, Gus. So thank you for teaching about this. Thank you for wanting to let people know the real truth. Because we live the real truth every day. We live this.
Thank you. Comrade Fox, any further thoughts?
Yes, and this actually program came out of the conditions that are still very real to this day for a lot of people in the US and black people in the US. And I actually too I like how the concrete economic demands that basically, if you're not going to give it to us, we're going to seize it basically, and then provide for everybody. And it's exactly what we're talking about when we've been talking about what socialism is and capitalism. It's basically this whole program challenges the whole system of profits in command. It really is. It just basically takes it right up to the face of it. How dare you exploit us? What right have you got to exploit us so you can enrich yourselves and then while everyone else has to suffer? And I think that even putting the little piece at the end there about we're all going to create equal, it's just basically saying, well, here's the document. What right have you got to exploit, to do whatever you damn well want and destroy our people? Destroy the people, destroy the planet in order to make profit. Since when did you have that God-given right? And I think that was and this is actually a cause. I'm sorry, a call to actually stand up and fight that system that creates all this mess in the first place. And this was, I say, a concrete plan. These are our demands. And I'm aspect. What was the beauty about the Black Panthers is, and the reason why they were oppressed. It's because they had the ability to organise. If our demands are not met, we're organising. You're not going to give it to us? We'll take them and obviously put them in place. And I thought that was the beauty about it. And I think it's always a fundamental question when we put a list of demands out. If our demands are not met, what do we do? And I think that's very important. And we have to keep that in mind. I mean, all of this document it blows me away. I love it. I think it's a fantastic program. And I actually encourage everyone to actually read this document and discuss it amongst yourselves even further. They'd obviously look at the material conditions where you're living in now in your respective countries and communities, etc. Maybe even use this as a template. It doesn't have to be exactly identical, but be a template to use. And obviously, this is what I like about it. I mean, you don't, and I think one thing about these things, you don't need a long-winded document that goes on forever, describing everything and trying to get demands out of everything. This is what it is fantastic, and this is just for every ordinary day people to take into account. And when I read it myself, we get it, and this is great. But I just love it, and it's as I said, it really takes it up to the face of capitalism, of profits in command, and just say basically this is what we want. Give it to us. If you don't, we'll take action into our own hands, matters into our own hands.
See, Comrade Andersen, any response to what's been said so far?
Actually, can you give me a moment? I'll be right back for 1 minute. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It looks like.
Okay, so can I say something
Go
else?
ahead.
Right?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is just like, okay, so this reminds me of what's going on right now with the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing, to make her Supreme Court. Look how rude they're being to her. Not letting her talk, just trying to belittle her and down her. This is exactly what the Black Panther Party was talking about. How we're getting treated. Black Kavanaugh and Comey Barrett was not treated as bad and as inhumane as Judge Jackson is being treated. She deserves the same respect and the same rights as the last two Supreme Court justices that got on the bench, but she's not getting that. And do y'all know why? Simply because of the color of her skin is the only reason that she's not getting it. And this is what the Black Panthers were fighting for. This is what they stood for. And we're still not getting it.
Very, very powerful. I mean, if I could just respond, I'd say, this is somebody, we're talking about somebody who is a judge, who is a U.S. official that still has to do with racism. If she has to deal with racism, and discrimination, what does the average worker have to deal with? With police interactions on the job daily, and how much power do they have to say something about it?
I mean, it goes back to, to me, it goes back to the slavery days, and even before that, it's all about power. And if there's a lot of white people that don't feel like they have that power, then they try to get that power by belittling us, by making us. If they don't have it, they kill us. And I'm sure nobody on this panel has ever had to tell their son that if they're old enough to drive, if it says go 70, go 69, and if you get pulled over, make sure you stick both of your hands out the window so that you don't get shot. Or make sure you have somebody on the phone or you record the conversation. Nobody has to do that. But guess who has to? Me. I have to do that. This is what the rights, the equality, the Black Panthers were fighting for. And they demolished them. The federal government had them taken out. They don't do this to the KKK. The KKK is flourishing. It's recruiting members every day. But yet when we wanted our freedom, when we wanted our rights, when we wanted our equality, we got killed for it. And it's just, I don't think there's a lot of stuff here that's still going on. And this is what the Black Panthers wanted. Well, this is what we want. Still, the same thing, the same rules, the same laws. We want them today, and we still don't have them.
So it looks like Comrade Andersen is back with us. Any responses to what's been said so far?
What she told all of us, or
anything that's been stated so far? Any of your thoughts?
Yeah. So, like she said, she's right on one thing. The KKK always recruits members like every year, which is nuts. And like through like so many decades ago, like they destroy like one of the most profound organizations, the Black Panther Party, which is nuts. And they just like think that they care or like bringing down like racist organizations. They do not. They say like in COINTELPRO, they say they're about to eradicate the KKK, which they clearly did not. They only eradicate like national liberation movements like the new the Young Lords Party, the Black Panther Party, the Young Patriots, like all those organizations, which is like just mind blowing, and that goes to show that the United States government, like right now, doesn't like care like at all with these organizations trying to like combat injustice and inequality. They only care like protecting this one organization who's like doesn't like care for like everyone, which is to me that's what's like wrong to this country right now. We like American communists should like combat this and like appreciate to what the Black Panther Party did. They show they they show that they have no fear. They show that self defense through their communities is like the solution. Like no other organization has like ever done that. To me, the Black Panther Party, to me, is like the first ever like guerrilla group like launched in America that goes to like the Quebec Liberation Front and to the Zapatista Army of National Liberation. They're like the first ever guerrilla group to like establish like in North America. That's like my opinion. I mean, am I wrong?
There's actually a lot of hidden history from us, comrade. There was, we go back to the coal miner wars, which were, mostly Scottish Irish, Eastern European immigrants, along with African American folks and indigenous people, multiracial rebellion in 1920 in Black and Blair, the Battle of Blair Mountain in 1920, which was the largest battle on U.S. soil. And we have the Greenhorn rebellions. And if you look into Chicano revolutionary culture, you have the so-called bandinos, which were actually like Zorro. If you watch the movie Zorro, there was civil rights, Robin Hood, Mexican organizations that fought against the Rangers. And there's a lot of hidden history, as well as the Black Panthers. And I'm only stating a little bit of it.
I'm sorry, I don't.
The government took all of those out. They didn't want none of those to be around. But they didn't. Still, they left the KKK around. They left the KKK here. And all of those other ones you were talking about have faded, and went away.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, like back in those days. It's just like this one organization, this one party was started off like in California. It was small like back then, and it grew like so. It grew nationwide. It was like unstoppable. There was like some like moments that they had like some issues within the party, which is like membership and like just like they're like split between like the Black Panther Party as far as I'm heard, and like for years since then they just like grew the membership is like grew to like downwards, because of like the whole things that happened like through its members like Fred Hampton, which rest in peace by the way, and like through so many like members through these chapters like in a state just got like shut down, and like so as far as I heard, like some one of the members in the Panther Party like betray like the cause of like for like their own party, and it's just like it was nuts, going to pro like was involved and like the whole like party just like collapsed, and it what saddens me the most is what this party has like just dissolved to me right now. It's one of the most significant parties that we American communists should like remember.
Let's see, Comrade Fox. Anything to add?
Well, the other thing as well, like I'm saying, that these are good concrete demands, but also what's fantastic about this, it's providing a way forward, and I think that's instrumental in anything where for any organisation is to provide a way forward, not just oppose something and destroy things, and oppose for the hell of it was just outright bad. I think it's vitally important. This was something that was said to me, an old trade unionist and communist from many years ago. He was an old painter and docker. He actually said to me, when you actually are coming up with an argument against something, then what's your alternative? And always come up with an alternative and a solution and a way forward. And I think that was vitally important, key into any argument we put forward. And this, as I said, is fantastic. It's not only just a list of demands, and just for the hell of it either, that actually provides a way forward. And people they can organise around it, and that's what I love about this stuff, because without that providing a way forward, people will go, well, what's the point? And they'll just continue on the same cul-de-sac over and over, same dead end over and over. So that's I just wanted to emphasise that a little bit further. That's all.
Okay. Yes, look at the racism in Ukraine. They were talking about how they're letting dogs get on the train before they're letting black human beings get on the train, or they're pushing them off, or just stuff that's shouldn't be happening today. They're trying to flee a country that's getting bombed by Russia. They're trying to flee that, and yet they're not being able to flee the same as the white people are being able to flee. This is what I believe the Black Panther movement was all about. I believe these are the 10 points he was talking about. We want equality. We want to be able to escape Ukraine just like everybody else is escaping Ukraine. You see what I'm saying? But we're not able to do that because people think we are less than, that our lives don't matter as much as a dog's life or an animal's life. They're putting animals before they put us. These are the 10 points he was talking about, whether people want to admit it or not. These are some of the 10 points he was talking about.
Very powerful. I'm really glad you brought that up. And there is a long history of white supremacy and racism in Ukraine, going back beyond World War II. There was a large, significant portion of the population that was reactionary and fought against the Soviet Union on behalf of the racist Nazis under Hitler. Was it Stefan, what was his name? David? The lead Nazi in Ukraine, David.
Yes, Stefan Bandera, I think he's name.
Yep, Stefan Bandera is praised by the government. Is praised in mass. He's a Nazi. Praised by the Ukrainian government and praised in rallies and held in pictures and marches. Ever since World War II, the CIA has been funding these people to attack the Russians. And then in 2014, when more right-wing powers, a more right-wing government was pushed into power, there has been beatings and torture of ethnic minorities, from gypsies or Roma people, non-white people, Roma people, and there's been lawlessness. There has been people that were accused of pickpocketing, which is an old racist stereotype of Roma people. Women were duct taped to poles and beaten, had their pants put down, allowed to be raped by strangers. This was normal stuff going on by white supremacists in Ukraine. And what you recently mentioned, there was a lot of students who were in Ukraine, black students, because there's racism is so worldwide, widespread, that black people in Africa are told that their own universities aren't as good as European universities. So a lot of African people will send their children to the cheapest university in Europe, which is Ukraine, which is, because the economic conditions aren't the best, you can get, if you're a middle class, you got a little bit of money and you're African, you can send the cheapest university to send somebody in Europe is Ukraine. So you got African students there, and then this war breaks out after NATO, the United States pushed this right-wing government into power, has been threatening the Russian people. The Russian people respond, and then you have a war zone. And then as these African students were trying to flee the country, they were detained and not allowed to leave, not allowed to go into Western Europe. And they were giving guns. Some of them were even giving guns and said, "You go fight the Russians." Treated horribly. I mean, it's. I mean, I gave you a little bit more of the history, Delia. Maybe you can just respond to it.
Well, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I believe that's true. I believe that is true. But it's sad. It hurts me to hear that women were duct taped to trees and the poles and allowed to be raped and beaten, and you know, that just disturbs me. But it just, I don't know any of that history of what you're talking about. I don't know any of that, but I do know it's wrong. It sounds wrong just by you saying that it sounds wrong.
Yeah, I mean, just like the history of black people in America, there's been a history of oppressed people all over the world that the U.S. has been supporting that have been not allowed on the news source. So racism and lies are a worldwide phenomenon.
You ain't lying about that.
Let's see, Comrade Fox, any response?
Yeah, well, you certainly see it in the mainstream media as right now, and obviously, what they're putting out is, basically Russia bad, Ukraine good, and without actually any proper analysis on what went on. And it was good that actually some points were raised here about what was going on in the last 8 years. There were 40 people that were murdered by Nazis in Odessa were trade unionists and communists. In a trade union, they were either burnt to death, incinerated alive, shot, or beaten to death. And the fact, what's the sad, tragic thing, I'm going to just come out with it, especially people, there are trade unionists out there too, that are supporting Ukraine. They're basically, by default, siding with these arseholes, Nazis, and believing the mainstream media lies. The propaganda that's been put out is disgraceful. And then get accused by myself and many other good comrades that we're Putinists, support Putin, and everything else. Now, position is this. I saw that's happening, what was going to happen over the last few years. And what happens, the people of the Donbass were about to be massacred. And Russia was provoked. And what we're actually been talking about here today, and about this 10-point plan, what's up against? We're up against US imperialism. It's collapsing and it's becoming even worse every day, and NATO as well. That includes the Europeans. And I cannot understand why people cannot see through it. They are 2 buttons on a keyboard away from the truth if they want to have a look at it. Instead of going on this one-sided, long-winded argument saying, "Oh, it's just Russian government propaganda. Oh, you're a Russophile and all this." Nothing to do with that whatsoever. And I'm also disappointed, really disappointed in those out there that did call themselves communists or still call themselves Marxists, and they're saying, "Oh, but Russia's imperialist." Well, I've been reading out of this book, Left-Wing Communism and Infantile Disorder. And it's been actually a really good, refreshing read, actually, again. I haven't read it. And it's exactly what Lenin said back then, having a go at all these Western leftists. Basically had a go at them. And even some in his own respective country at the time. I just find it disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. People are falling for this left, right and centre. And I'm really over it. I've had people turn on me, cancel, but I don't care. At least one thing, I'll find out who are my true friends and who are my foes. Find out friends and foes. I had some smart comment on someone put to me the other day. Well, I'm going to unfriend you for putting that comment up there. Fine. I've never met you anyway. I don't even know who you are. Somehow you're a friend of mine there. So go away. You're a nobody to me. So I don't even know who you are. I wouldn't walk past you in the street. I wouldn't even know who you are. I wouldn't even give you the time of day. But the fact is, I mean, when I've seen all this going out, especially over the course of the last couple of months, I think just people, you really need to wake up and see what's going on, because what is now going on is a systematic attack worldwide on all us working class people around the world, regardless of what your nationality is. This is what's happening. Cost of living is just going to go skyrocket. We are now in a, I'm going to just come out a deep shit situation if we're not prepared to wake up and realise where our real enemies are. And as can in this, and I also want to mention too that the Russians that are living in Ukraine predominantly make up most of the working class there. Well, they make up most of the trade union membership there as well. Not only that, the Ukrainian government not banned the Communist Party back in 2014, but actually now it's outlawed all the rest of the opposition parties there. So you've got to ask yourself what is going on. It's basically turned into a hotbed of war, crime, and Nazis, and it is outright true. But the Bozo people have been posing the Russians' actions on this, and are going on crying, giving crocodile tears to the Ukraine, are in fact defaulting by default side with Nazis. They're saying they opposed them. The other thing as well, why aren't they shedding their tears over the people of Yemen, over Syria? What happened in Libya? And God knows what else is happening under imperialist control as well. Why aren't they shedding the tears over the First Nations people here? Why aren't they actually going out and supporting exactly the black people in the US and other oppressed nations there as well? Where are they? And I just think to look for them. Yep, and I want to also point out all those people have been saying this, all of these poor Ukrainians. Yeah, I'm sorry, but everyone else doesn't matter because they haven't got white skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair. And I said, I just shake my head and I was just absolutely. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there, but I had to let it go. Now,
all right. Thank you, brother. So we're getting near the end. We've been here on an hour. Let's see. Let's try to move away from the hot topic. Let's see. Comrade Andersen, any response on that issue before we move on?
So yeah, it's oh boy. It's been going so much rough days ever since like this whole thing broke out between like Russia and Ukraine, and now like I'm gonna tell you something. Like, this is not bullshit. Sorry for swearing, but here's what I'm going to tell you. A couple of days ago, and this is for real, what you just said about like people like taping themselves like through poles. I just saw like a Twitter post, like a bunch of Romanite people like strapping like in tape in poles, like from the Azov battalion. Like, I just swear to God, I just saw this one like in a Twitter post. It's like nuts, and like none of these mainstream media that we see every day like post it like in their television programs, which is like nuts. They should like avoid that and to like just focus on this whole idea that like Ukraine is like the hero of like this whole thing, which in reality it's not. It's this whole thing started like through like 8 years ago to right now, and we were like been told like to say that this is like the revolution against like the evils of back then, which clearly is like the other way around. The evils take away from like so many good things to Ukraine. Like the Communist Party of Ukraine gone, the Opposition Party gone, statues of Lenin like torn down, and so many people in Luhansk and Donetsk fought against like so many fascists who are in like the coup government, like way back in 2014 and 15. Right now, still fighting to this day. And to me, the people in Donetsk and Luhansk are the real heroes in this whole conflict right now. So, to my stance with this is, I hope that this conflict ends like quickly, because if it doesn't, then so many good people will die, like for nothing, and hopefully it will end soon. That's my opinion.
I want to tell y'all, please don't think bad about me, because I can't say I stand with Ukraine because of how they have treated. And like just said, racism is everywhere. We can't get rid of it, but for people to say I stand with Ukraine after what's done, what they've done to black people, that's like telling them it's okay for what they've done. I can't say I stand with Ukraine because I don't. So y'all, please don't hope that I don't stand with Ukraine.
Thank you. We're with you. we take your position on this. Unlike I bet you're getting a lot of feedback. I bet you're getting a lot of negative opinions from some of the more Democratic people that you talk with on this. But we're 100% with you from the revolutionary anti-racist side.
Well, because I just in my heart I can't stand it. And they're letting dogs, they're putting dogs above human. So
it looks like we're getting to the end. We want to get back into the discussion on the Black Panthers. I think what we're going to do is just a round of closing statements. I'll start off, and then David and then Andersen will have Comrade Delia get the last word. I just want to say, so when you think about politics nowadays, you think about Democrats and you think about Republicans. And they both have, their various perspectives, and they make a lot of make a lot of promises on election time. And this is a group of folks, the Black Panther Party, who didn't wait for those promises to be fulfilled. They saw that they were being beaten and killed by the police. They saw they had inadequate housing, inadequate clothing, inadequate basic human rights, and they did something about it. When the cops came to harass them, they showed up in uniform with guns and stopped them. Physically stopped them, or at least put up a deterrent from them harassing and killing people. When they noticed that people didn't have food, the Black Panthers formed the Black Panther Breakfast Program. And that program, they fed people within their own community. Hoover, the leader of the FBI, said that Fred Hampton was enemy number one, was the main threat against the U.S. government, because he realized the power that the people had in feeding themselves and organizing amongst themselves. And after they killed the Black Panther Party, the U.S. government implemented a nationwide breakfast program in the school system, so they wouldn't have a revolutionary group try to fill that need. And that is a real thing that you say, that people ask, well, you're a white person, why do you love the Black Panther Party? Well, I love the Black Panther Party because they stood up for the justice, for basic justice for all working people, Black people and all working people. And I was able to eat in school. We didn't have a lot of money. I was able to eat in school because of the Black Panther Party. And that is very beautiful. And I will always support the Black Panthers. I'm always good to spread that information. Let's see. Comrade Fox, any closing statement?
Yeah, this is once again, this has been an inspirational program. Reading this, I recommend everyone to have a look at it and read it. You can actually easily find it on the internet. It's basically just put the Black Panther Party 10-point program. It'll come up to you the various resources, and they've obviously it's something worthwhile to study. And I encourage everyone out there, all workers, to have a look at this. All comrades out there and friends to have a look at this, and actually go take something from this as well. Maybe you'd adopt it to your own conditions. But I think it's one thing that was really inspirational reading this, and it's good to actually acknowledge all the hard work the Black Panthers have done. A lot of people, whether black, white, brown, whatever, actually have benefited from this as well. And I think it's something that's always to be acknowledged, that they did a fantastic job under the circumstances. And obviously, and something we always got to keep them in mind and give them credit for. They did it. They actually got out there and organised, and obviously there's a lot more history on it. You guys are probably more aware of it than what I am, but for us here in Australia, I mean, this is something worthwhile to have a look here and look at the conditions here, what we're facing.
Comrade Andersen, closing statement.
Yes. So To those who are interested in the 10-point program, like the Fox said, you can look it up. As I would like to say this to everyone, that the 10-point program is relevant today because we're living in an economic system that doesn't care for human beings. This 10-point program cares about human life. There's really an alternative system than capitalism. This 10-point program shows that it can be established in your own community. It can establish anywhere in America. So my advice: follow the 10-point program. And if any Black American or like anywhere else in any state has interest like joining like the successor of the Black Panther Party, go join like the young Black Panther Party. They follow the 10-point program. They're done like excellent work. So there's one thing I say that I would say: power to all the people and power to the Black Panther Party. We will miss them so much. We miss you, Brent Hampton. We will miss you, man.
Okay, so we're gonna let Sister Delia get the last word on any closing statements.
I just want to say what Dust said. That's it. What Dust said. I agree with everything you said. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, right on. So everybody, let's see, unmute everybody. Everybody raise their fist. Repeat after me. Dare to struggle.
Dare to
Dare to struggle.
Dare to win.
Dare
to win.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Right on. Thank you, everyone.
Good